My brothers and sisters, what is good, everybody? Still sermon in the house. It is late Monday night, early Tuesday morning, whatever you want to call it. Just got done watching the two Monday night games and two blowouts, two games that were not even close. But what can you do about it? I had an abysmal week. Obviously, there are a few games that I wish I could have back. But the rest of them, not my fault because the NFL is just on drugs this year. 8-8 this week, 17-15 on the year. Obviously, I know I can do a lot better, but yeah, not off to a good start. Then again, last year I got off to a little bit of a slow start. So there's that. But yeah, there's still 15 more weeks. There's still 16 more weeks to go. But yeah, these are my week 3 picks. And I'm actually going to start something new with my pick'em videos now at the beginning of every week. And I'm going to go over my personal biggest winner and biggest loser of the previous week. So this is a new segment that I'm doing on my pick'em. So let's get on to it. So my biggest winner for week 2, there were a lot of considerations, but I think my biggest winner goes to the Miami Dolphins for this past week. Miami Dolphins, they were down 21 points to the Ravens not once, but twice. And they outscored Baltimore 35-10 in the second half. Tua Tagovailoa puts up a historic fourth quarter against the Ravens where he tossed 4 touchdowns on them, including the game winner. And the Miami Dolphins with one of the most improbable victories that I've ever seen. And they are 2-0 on the year, making things very interesting in that AFC East as they got a big matchup with the Buffalo Bills this week, man. So the Miami Dolphins, they're my biggest winner this week. Now, my biggest loser, there were a lot of considerations for this one. Vegas, that was a strong one for me. The Chargers, how they blew it against Kansas City last Thursday, that was in consideration. The biggest one that I had for the longest time were the Colts. I mean, I thought Jacksonville was going to beat them, but they got shut out by Jacksonville. So Indy looked like they would be the biggest loser for me for a while. But then a game in Arlington, Texas happened that prompted me to have an even bigger loser. So without further ado, my biggest loser, the entire AFC North. That's right, I am bundling my entire division for the biggest loser of week 2. Let's go over the games. For the Baltimore Ravens, as I just mentioned, they blew 2 21-point leads against the Dolphins despite a great day by Lamar Jackson. And the Ravens, they have one of the biggest collapses that I've ever seen, and I love to see it, man, as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So yeah, that's not good for the Baltimore Ravens. They're 1-1 on the season. Cincinnati Bengals, absolutely inexcusable loss for them. They lose to Cooper Rush and the Dallas Cowboys. That's embarrassing enough right there to lose to Cooper Rush. But now the Cincinnati Bengals, the defending AFC champions, are looking at an 0-2 record. And even though I have seen teams start 0-2 and make the playoffs before, recent history has not been kind to those kind of teams. So Cincinnati, you're in trouble right there. By the way, Joe Burrow sacked 6 more times. He has now been sacked 13 times through 2 weeks. So that O-line is going to get that guy killed sooner rather than later. Then you got the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns blowing it in the most Browns way possible. Up 30-17 on the Jets under the 2-minute warning in the fourth quarter. And the bad miscues by the Browns come back and haunt them. Cade York's missed extra point, not handling the onside kick. And Joe Woods deciding to play prevent defense, and Joe Flacco takes full advantage of it, and he tosses 2 touchdowns, including the game winner to Garrett Wilson, game-sealing interception for the Jets, and they pull off an improbable comeback on the Browns. So yeah, very inexcusable loss for Cleveland. And then, unfortunately, you got my team. We do what we do best, lose to New England. And just everything possible went wrong for us in that game, all right? Everything. Matt Canada's play calling, disastrous. I mean, you call for a bubble sweep on 3rd and long. That ain't good. Matt Canada's play calling looking stale still. Mitch Trubisky had a really bad game in week 1, and he had an even worse game in week 2. 2 bad games for Mitch Trubisky already. McCullough Witherspoon getting mossed by Nelson Aguilar, a career journeyman wide receiver. Cam Sutton dropping as easy of an interception that a defensive back can ever get. And then, of course, you got Gunnar Olszewski muffing a punt, which gave New England prime position to extend their lead, and they did. Just a really poor performance for us altogether, especially on the offense. There was no pass rush on the defense, but I'm not blaming it on the defense at all, aside from those 2 bad plays and the lack of pass rush. So yeah, the AFC North, my entire loser for week 2. Now, that being said, as I always say for the Pick'em tournament, remember, you do not have to give scores for every single game just for your spread predictions. I know I have to keep repeating that in the videos, but some people, they have hard times adjusting, so I'm just going to remind you every week. So without further ado, let's get into my Week 3 picks. These are my Week 3 picks for the 2022 NFL season. And kicking things right off the bat, we got my game. It is Thursday Night Football. The 1-1 Pittsburgh Steelers head on up to Cleveland to play the 1-1 Cleveland Browns. As I said a couple seconds ago, both these teams are coming off losses. Steelers coming off a loss to New England. Browns coming off a very inexcusable loss to the Jets. So I'm going to cover more of this in my preview that I hope to have out by either today or Wednesday. I don't know about Thursday, but I hope to have it out within the next couple of days. So, what do I keep preaching about our offense? You gotta get creative. Okay? Mitch Trubisky, I agree that if you're gonna continue to start him for the majority of the season, give him a game manager type of role, okay? Because them fans over there, they were clamoring for Kenny Pickett to come in. And while I do agree that putting in Kenny Pickett could give us a spark on offense, okay, I'm just saying be patient with the quarterback situation. Kenny Pickett will get his chance. Do I think it should be this week? No. It's a shortened week. And I'm so far in agreement that maybe he should start week 4 against the Jets. But even then, I mean, the Jets, they really aren't a pushover right now because if they can pull off an improbable victory like that, maybe the Jets are better than I think. I don't know. I don't follow the Jets. Maybe, the only people that know that are Jets fans or AFC East fans in general. But anyway, have to get creative on offense. Give Najee Harris the ball more because you got to take advantage of Joe Woods' lack of aggression on defense. He played prevent defense down the final phases with the Browns up 13 points. Take advantage of Joe Woods' defense. And speaking of defense, our defense here has to be able to generate a pass rush. I know that not having TJ Watt has most to do with it, but you got guys like Malik Reed and Alex Highsmith who have been heavily favored for us to be standout guys on this defense in his absence. I expect a better overall structure on this defense. And it includes winning the turnover battle. Cam Sutton, catch a damn interception, please, will ya? Ahkello Witherspoon, don't get mossed by every single receiver that the Browns have. And we should be good. But then again, Cleveland, they're going to beat you on the run game, okay? Because they got a two-headed beast in the backfield in Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, okay? It's not like it's 1 and 2. It's 1A and 1B right there. That's something that the Browns have always specialized in over the past 4 or 5 years now, is their run game, okay? Is Jacoby Brissett the most elite quarterback? No, but he's a serviceable backup, and he's proved to the Browns that he can be good enough for them to win games and remain competitive. Browns, they're welcoming in Amari Cooper into the division, and they are pretty high on Donovan Peoples-Jones. So obviously the Browns, they do have a lot of playmakers on that offense that they are high on, and if you look at it in a perspective, I think these two teams are similar defensively. But I think that we're in better shape defensively because I like our coordinators better, and I think Brian Flores is still doing a good job with the linebackers, but still, we need to establish a pass rush. Plain simple. Browns beat us offensively, though. I don't think that's any question. I mean, 2 games, the Browns have scored 56 points, and 2 games, we have 40 points. Or, 37 points, I'm sorry. 37 points to their 56. So do the math. Cleveland beats us offensively, and I realize that it's a short week. I hate short weeks myself. But to make it a long story short, I think that this has potential to be a low-scoring game. Do I trust our defense in this game? Yes, I do. But do I trust the pass rush right now? No. Do I trust our offense? Absolutely friggin' not. So, yeah, man. As much as I really do believe we can go up to Cleveland and beat the Browns, all right? Because we do have a good track record of beating the Browns in Cleveland lately, all right? I mean, Big Ben, for his whole career, he had the most wins by a quarterback in Browns Stadium until like a couple years ago when Baker Mayfield broke it. But we don't got Big Ben no more because he retired. Now we have to see if Mitch Trubisky can get the job done in Cleveland. Interesting enough, going to be a little bit of a homecoming for Mitch Trubisky because he's from the Cleveland area. Okay? But like I said, as much as I believe we can go into Cleveland and beat the Browns, for the sake of pick'em, I do not like what I saw from our offense for the past 2 weeks, and that's just a really small sample size. I don't like what I've seen from our offense for the past couple of years now. So that's really putting it lightly. For the sake of pick'em, I hate to do this. I got the Cleveland Browns beating us. I mean, just a loss like how we had to New England, where we never led them at any point in the game. The offense was just lifeless, and you've refused to open up the play, and you open up the playbook on a few instances, but not enough for us to get in this game. And, you have mental errors like a muffed punt and a dropped interception, and before that. This is just not a good team. It's not. I realize we're half competing and half rebuilding, but that doesn't give an excuse for why you can't open up the playbook a little bit and try to be competitive. I don't know, but I don't know. I can't sit here consciously and say 100%, yeah, we're going to go up to Cleveland and beat the Browns on a short week. All right? Hate to do it, but I got the Browns beating us. And, I know the people, well, that means you can't get happy if the Steelers win. Yeah, I do. I'm a Steeler fan, all right? I'm just telling you like it is. This is why Steeler content creators are so much better than guys like Bob Hesselini or DK on YouTube, all right? Because those guys, they have to, sit back and sugarcoat everything and mask the fact that how badly we're playing right now and go oh, well, we're okay. We just need to do this. Steeler content creators like myself, the Steel Twins, Leedy, Eric of Steel, may God rest her soul, Lady Steel, when she was still here, we will tell you like it is with this team. This team is not doing well right now. There is nothing wrong with being negative about your team because it's being real. And this isn't even my opinion. Most of these are facts. Straight up facts. Okay? I believe we can beat the Browns, but realistically, I know the Browns blew it to the Jets, but that's an anomaly right there. You really think that they're going to play that kind of prevent defense against the Pittsburgh Steelers, a franchise that has absolutely decimated them for 52 years now? No. Do the Browns believe they're better than us? Yes. That's why I think they're going to beat us. They're not going to have back-to-back collapses. And it's going to be a tough road ahead of us because we have some tough opponents coming up, man. So for the sake of pick'em, like I said, I'm going to get more of this in my preview. I got the Browns beating us. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just being realistic. Okay, moving on. Next up, we got the Sunday slate of games. Kicking things off, we got the Houston Texans at the Chicago Bears. This one is in Chicago. Texans coming off a loss to the Broncos. They kept it surprisingly close with Denver. The Bears, once again losing to Aaron Rodgers and the Packers in Lambeau Field. I will say this about the Chicago Bears. They seem to play a little bit tougher nowadays, and I think Justin Fields is starting to show more signs of improvement. That being said, I think the Bears got cheated on that touchdown that was not. I think Justin Fields was over the plane, but I don't really think it would matter because the Bears still would have lost. But still, I mean, Justin Fields is starting to show a little bit more improvement. Houston, I don't know about them. Ask a Texans fan, I guess. I don't know anything about the Texans really, but it's just they're looking like how I thought they'd be. So yeah, needless to say, this is my toilet bowl of the week. I really don't care who wins this game because I'm not a fan of either team. So for the sake of it, I'm just going to go ahead and take the Chicago Bears to win this one. I don't know. It's just somebody has to win this game. It'd be kind of funny if Houston has 2 ties this season, but I'm going to go ahead and take the Chicago Bears to get the job done over the Texans. Alrighty, next up, we got a tricky one in my opinion. We got the Las Vegas Raiders heading to Nashville to play the Titans, as the Raiders are surprisingly 0-2. They choked a big game against the Cardinals. They were up 20-0 on them, and they lose it in overtime. In my opinion, Vegas fumbled the ball twice in overtime. I know the first one, wasn't considered one, but then they had the game-losing fumble. Arizona took it in to score, and the Raiders, just like that, blew a 20-0 lead at home and lost to the Cardinals. So Davante Adams, he was quiet in this game too. I think he only had like a couple of catches for like 40 yards. He was kept quiet in that game. In my opinion, Vegas has to get Josh Jacobs more involved, because when they ran the ball with Josh Jacobs, he was putting up some decent numbers. I just don't know why Vegas just doesn't utilize Josh Jacobs a whole lot. Tennessee Titans, they got absolutely blown out of the water by Buffalo. They had one solid drive, but Ryan Tannehill played like crap in that game. He threw 2 interceptions. Titans just had no answer at all for Buffalo after they beat them the past couple of times. So, yeah, Tennessee, you guys are in trouble. I mean, I could have figured Tennessee would have gotten off to a slow start. But Vegas, in my opinion, I think they're too good to start 0-2, let alone start 0-3. Like week 1, yeah, they lost to the better team in the Chargers, in my opinion, in week 1. But that loss to Arizona is just inexcusable. So, yeah, this was a tricky one for me. Normally in a situation with this, I go with the home team, but I don't know. After I saw how the Titans played against Buffalo, I mean, granted, Buffalo is a phenomenal team, don't get me wrong, but after I saw how Tennessee played against Buffalo, I'm going to lean more towards Vegas with this one. I think the Raiders get over the hump. I think they finally close out a game this time, and I think that the firepower they have on offense is just going to be too much for Tennessee right here. I mean, Waller, Adams, and Renfro, that should be a 3-headed monster right there. And if Tennessee allowed 3 touchdowns to Stephon Diggs, and they allowed Josh Allen to throw for over 300 yards and 4 touchdown passes, I don't see how they're going to get the job done against Vegas. So yeah, the number 1 seed from last year starts off 0-3. Give me the Raiders to knock off the Titans. Next up, we got the Kansas City Chiefs heading to Indianapolis to take on the Colts, as the Chiefs were down 17-7 to the Chargers last Thursday night in their home opener, mounted a ferocious comeback, a 99-yard pick six, and the Kansas City Chiefs found themselves ahead 27-17. Chargers got a late touchdown to make it interesting, but Kansas City held on for the dub. They finally beat the Chargers at Arrowhead. They are 2-0. And looks like they're still the top dog in the AFC West. Indianapolis. I don't know why they can't win in Jacksonville. I mean, I picked Jacksonville to beat them last week because of their track record that they have against the Colts in Jacksonville, but they shut them out. 24-0. Jacksonville beats Indianapolis. They shut them out. Wow. Wow. I mean, I knew Indy was bad in Jacksonville, but I didn't think they were this bad against them. Now I'm starting to understand a little bit more why they lost their win-and-in situation to the Jags for the playoffs in Week 18 last year. Just a terrible game for the Colts. You know, Indy's 0-1-1. Before that, they tied with Houston. I mean, the Colts just... I don't get the hype with Indianapolis. This team is just Jonathan Taylor, and that's it. That's really all I got to say for the Colts. It's Jonathan Taylor, and that's it. Matt Ryan has played terrible so far for him. Indy's defense really isn't all that good, and they are just looking pitiful right now. Kansas City, they're looking, like they haven't missed a beat from the last 4 seasons. So I just don't see how Kansas City drops this one. They have no reason to drop this one. But then again, this is 2022 and strange things have happened so far. So I'm going to go ahead and take Kansas City to improve to 3-0. Patrick Mahomes, he just don't lose in the month of September. Give me Kansas City to knock off the Colts to improve to 3-0. Next up, we got what could be a pretty good game, actually. The battle of the top 2 teams in the AFC East. It is the Buffalo Bills, who in my opinion are the best team in the NFL, and they have been my pick to win the Super Bowl for the past couple months now. They are flying on down to South Beach to take on the Dolphins, who at the beginning of this video I said, my biggest winner of Week 2, down 21 points twice to the Ravens. And they mount a ferocious comeback where Tua Tagovailoa threw 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and the Dolphins shocked the Ravens in Baltimore 42-38. But I have to be realistic right here. Miami is 2-0. They're playing pretty well so far, but I have to say this: if they get in a big hole against Buffalo, it's game over. I mean, yeah, I know that they had that insane comeback against the Ravens, but here's the thing. The Bills are a completely different team than the Ravens are. The Bills are a stronger team than Baltimore is. They pass the ball better than Baltimore. They have more explosive receivers than Baltimore. They have a way established more defense than Baltimore. And Josh Allen always plays well against the Dolphins. All right? So Miami, for as legendary of a comeback that was, if you get in a big hole against Buffalo, it's over. That's why, even though I think Miami can put up a good fight for this one, I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills to go to 3-0. I mean, Miami can win this game realistically, but it's just that, Buffalo's just the better team. I still think the Dolphins are in good shape. I still think that they're going to keep things very interesting in this division in the AFC. But it's just that I think Miami's due for a loss. I think they're going to kind of play with fire like they did last week. And I just think Buffalo's going to show them, hey, you know what? You can't fool around with us. You get in a hole with us, we're going to make you pay for it. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Buffalo Bills. Excuse me. Going to go ahead and take the Buffalo Bills to improve their hot streak to get the 3-0. Give me the Bills, man. Next up, we got another interesting one. Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings. This one is up in Minneapolis. The Lions getting the job done over Washington 36-27 as the Lions played very well to get their first win of the year. They almost blew a lead as well, but still hung on for the win. They were up 22-0 on Washington at one point. Commanders came back, made it a little bit of a game, but still Detroit hangs on for the dub. Then you got the Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins, that guy just cannot win on Monday Night Football, and that showed why. Philly fans booed Jalen Reagor every time he touched the ball, and they even did the skull chant at one point. So, yeah, Minnesota's 1-1. Maybe I gave the Vikings too much credit against the Packers because the Packers don't have Devontae Adams. I don't know, but I don't know. Minnesota, they just have way too much firepower on that offense to be a slow team. 7 points against Philly. I mean, come on, man. That's way too bad of a performance. And speaking of 7, Minnesota's favored by 7 in this game. Again, that's too much for the Vikings. Like, yeah, I can expect Minnesota to be favored to win this game, but 7-point favorites? That's too much for them, in my opinion. And isn't it funny that Minnesota's lead rusher, with a healthy Dalvin Cook, all right, their leading rusher is Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson was their leading rusher Monday night over a healthy Dalvin Cook. That's how badly they played on offense. Detroit, I gotta say this. They are showing signs of improvement, and they are heading in the right direction. I don't think it'll be this year, but Detroit next year could honestly be a big surprise team for a lot of people. And I'm starting to get on board with that. Jared Goff looks like he knows what he's doing. Dan Campbell is a really good head coach for him. And that St. Brown guy, he is going to be a great player in the future. He already is a really good player, but I'm talking about he's going to be one of the elite players in the future. Detroit made a really good draft pick with him. You know, the Lions got some talent with them. I definitely see it. You know, I think that they just need to move on from Jared Goff sooner or later, get another quarterback sooner, or maybe roll with Jared Goff. I don't know. But, you know, get another quarterback when the team's all set. The Lions are headed in the right direction, man. They can be they're already a competitive team, but they can be even more competitive later on. So, like I said, Minnesota, they are favored for this game, but they are 7-point favorites. I think that is way too much for the Vikings, like I said. This is going to be my point spread, actually. I do have the Vikings winning this one. I do think they rebound from that loss in Philly and they improve to 2-1. I just think the Vikings are just the more experienced team than the Lions are. So yeah, I got Minnesota winning this game, but I got the Lions covering. Okay? I don't think Minnesota covers the 7-point spread. I think Detroit covers it, despite the fact Minnesota wins. So yeah, I'm going to say Vikings win it 28-24. I think the Lions are going to give the Vikings a way better fight than what people say. So yeah, I got Minnesota winning, but I got Detroit covering. Give me the Vikings over the Lions. Alrighty, next up, we got another tricky one for me to pick. We got my two most hated teams in football going up against each other. Baltimore Ravens, New England Patriots, and Foxborough. This is the Patriots home opener. Baltimore's 1-1, inexcusable loss to the Dolphins, and I love to see them choke that game away where they were up 21 points against them not once but twice, and they lose 42-38. What sucks about that loss for Ravens fans is that was one of the best games of Lamar Jackson's career, and the Ravens blew it because their defense blew it. They allowed Tua Tagovailoa to have 4 touchdown passes in the fourth quarter, and they were outscored 35-10 in the second half. And, by the way, they were outscored 28-3 in the fourth quarter. 28-3. So, yeah, Baltimore, they're 1-1. New England, they're 1-1. They get the job done over us in Pittsburgh once again. The thing is, I'll be honest with you. I really want to pick New England for this game because I think that they have the defense that can stop Baltimore's offense. I really do think that. I think New England is a strong defensive team. I think that they're a defensive-minded team, and they can get the job done defensively. Okay? So I really want to pick New England for this one. However, what's holding me back is their offense. Okay? New England did beat us, but here's the thing. They did nothing special on offense. They really didn't. Like, sure, Mac Jones showed that he could throw the ball away quickly. He showed that he can process a decision quick, and he targeted middle of the field all day. But really, New England made no really big splash plays at all. I mean, Nelson Aguilar had, the moss on Ahkello Witherspoon or whatever. But all Ahkello Witherspoon has to do, because he was on Nelson Agholor the whole play. If you look at it, he was on Agholor the whole play. All Witherspoon has to do is just put his arm up and bat the ball down. And it's an incomplete pass. He focused more on trying to cause a turnover. That's all Witherspoon had to do. It's just a misplay by the defense for as great of a catch that was. Really, New England did nothing special on offense. All right? And really the reason that Mac Jones had all day to throw and that he targeted middle of the field all day is because there was no pass rush. We're missing TJ Watt. That just shows how valuable TJ Watt is to this defense. I think at some point you got to consider TJ Watt to be an MVP candidate. You really do. I don't think he'll ever win an MVP because, let's face it, they just give it to quarterbacks nowadays. But you just show how valuable TJ Watt is to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And no TJ Watt equals no pass rush. No pass rush, quarterback's going to have a lifetime to get rid of the ball. So really, yeah, Mac Jones, he did get rid of the ball quickly. He did process a decision quickly, but he would have had a much harder time. Hate to use the excuse. He would have had a much harder time if TJ Watt was there. Okay? So that's really the thing that's holding me back from picking New England to win this game. Okay? Baltimore, I just think that they have a more experienced offense. I think they have a way better offense than New England does. Baltimore's defense is very overrated. I am not sold on the Ravens' defense. I'm just not. Because they allowed a collapse like that. Sure, a collapse like that is an anomaly. Baltimore's defense isn't that good. They can get picked apart easily, especially with the pass defense. All right? One or two good players on that secondary isn't going to suffice it. That's all there is to it. And if New England can't take advantage of that, they're in for a long day. So, yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to go ahead and take the Ravens to rebound from that bad loss to the Dolphins. Got them going to New England to beat the Patriots. Like I said, I really wanted to pick New England for this one. But I'm going to go ahead and take the Ravens to get the job done over the Pats. Alrighty, next up, another North versus East battle as the Cincinnati Bengals head on to New Jersey to play the Jets. The Bengals are 0-2. The defending AFC champs are 0-2, and they are in a very big hole right now. Not a lot of teams that start 0-2 can make the playoffs. And the Bengals, they got to get their stuff together. Offenses looked very bland so far. Offenses looked very off for them so far. Offensive line looks terrible, as usual. Joe Burrow's been sacked 13 times in 2 weeks. Okay? 13 times in 2 weeks. Basically, he is on par to get sacked over 80 times this season, which would easily be an NFL record. Okay? Bengals, you're going to get this guy killed. That's all there is to it. They lost to Cooper Rush. Like I said, that's embarrassing enough. But you're 0-2 now. You are in deep trouble, Cincinnati. Then you got the New York Jets. They pulled off one of the most improbable wins that I've ever seen in my life. You're down 30-17 to the Cleveland Browns at the 2-minute warning, and Joe Flacco leads the way for the Jets with 2 touchdown passes, including the game winner to Garrett Wilson. And the Jets are 1-1. So just an unbelievable comeback by the Jets. Game-sealing interception as well. So, I don't know, man. I mean, common sense says the Bengals are going to rebound and they're going to get their first win because they're just, on paper, a far better team than the Jets are. And the Jets, I mean, let's face it, even though they have a better record than the Bengals, I think that the Jets still just have a long way to go. However, I will say this. What happened the last time these two teams played? Oh, yeah, that's right. Mike White beat the Bengals last year. Now they got Joe Flacco, an experienced quarterback, a former Super Bowl MVP, a guy who proved that he can win games, playing for the Jets now. So, do I think lightning is going to strike twice and the Jets beat the Bengals again? Yes, I do. Upset of the week. New York Jets. I think they get it done over the Bengals again. I think the Jets shock the world and they put the defending AFC champs at 0-3. I think the Bengals played way in over their head. I think that they are back down to earth, and this team is very vulnerable. If the Jets defense can get a pass rush going, and if they can penetrate that O-line, the Bengals are done. Plain and simple. And the Jets, I mean, they had a bad second half against Baltimore, but they were able to kind of keep Baltimore in check in the first half. And then obviously, they had the comeback against the Browns. So maybe the Jets are a little bit better than I think. I don't know. My point is, I got the Jets pulling off the upset of the week. Jets over the Bengals again. Alrighty, next up, we got the Philadelphia Eagles heading on to Washington to play the Commanders. Eagles are 2-0, coming off a win over the Vikings. Commanders are 1-1. They lost to the team that Philly beat in Week 1 in the Detroit Lions. Not really much to say with this one. I think Philly is playing as advertised so far. Defense looks really good for them. Jalen Hurts is evolving into a really good dual threat quarterback, and Philly so far they don't look like they're missing Jalen Reagor at all. That's why the Philly fans were booing him every single time he touched the ball. So I think Philly is just playing as advertised right now. They look real good. Washington, they are just in a pickle right now. I mean, Carson Wentz, sure, he can win them games. He can put up some good stats for them. But if Washington can't get a good defense going, they're going to be in for a really long day against Philly. So usually the Eagles get the best of the Commanders, and I'm going to say that trend continues. Give me the Philadelphia Eagles to go on into D.C. and knock off the Commanders. I got Philly improving to 3-0. You know, it's just that they're going to be going up against Carson Wentz. I mean, Carson Wentz, it's kind of a revenge game. You know, he's going to go up against his old team. Could you imagine if this game was in Philly and Carson Wentz was starting for Washington? Oh, the boos would be mad, man. Philly boos everybody. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take Philly to get the job done over the Commanders. Next up, New Orleans Saints and the Carolina Panthers. This one is down in Charlotte, as the Saints are 1-1, as for the first time since Tom Brady joined the Buccaneers, they lose in the regular season to the Buccaneers. And the Carolina Panthers are 0-2 with that bulimic team they have down there in Charlotte. They drop one to the New York Giants, and Baker Mayfield once again played kind of poorly. Kind of leaves you wondering, was Baker Mayfield the problem up in Cleveland? Because he really hasn't been exactly a highlight reel down in Carolina, and the Panthers are 0-2. The Saints, Jameis Winston, I was never a believer in that guy, and a game like that against the Bucs shows why. Pick 6 that he threw to the Bucs, and that pretty much sealed the Saints right there. However, the Saints defense held up strong, and going up against this Carolina offense here that can't really produce a whole lot outside of CMC when he's healthy, I don't see how the Saints have any problem. I'm going to go ahead and take the Saints to improve from that loss to the Buccaneers, and I got them getting an easy win over Carolina here. Give me the Saints to get the job done over the Panthers. All right, kicking off the later slate of games. First at bat, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars flying on out to L.A. to play the Chargers, as the Jags are 1-1. They pitched a shutout over the Colts 24-0, as just a really good effort all day for the Jags, and they do what they do best, which is beat the Colts in Jacksonville. Then you got the Chargers coming off a devastating loss to Kansas City, where they had a 10-point lead on them. They were dominating on defense the first part of the game. Second half comes along, Chiefs mount a comeback. And the big news out of that one isn't really the blown lead, but it's Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert got his ribs cracked in that game against the Chiefs, and the question with him, is he 100% good to go for this game? He went back out there and finished the game for the Chargers. Obviously, he led a touchdown pass with broken ribs, so mad props to him. That's something I'll give Justin Herbert credit for. Dude's a tough son of a gun. Looks like he's, a really tough guy, so I'll give him credit for that. But granted, is he 100% good to go? If he is, then I think LA should have no problem. But I'm under the impression that, he's still a little banged up. So maybe he's going to look a little off in this game. And seeing how, Jacksonville dominated Indianapolis, I think that might play a factor. I mean, I know Matt Ryan is rounding third and headed home with his career as well. But still, pitching a shutout against anyone in this league nowadays is impressive. If you can even hold a team to 20 points nowadays, that's impressive. So just imagine how impressive it could be that you can shut someone out, So that's what I'm giving Jacksonville credit for. And I think that they honestly can make this game a little more interesting than on paper, Of course, common sense says, oh yeah, LA should win this game easily. I don't think so, honestly. I think the Jags can give the Chargers a good fight. I mean, I still got LA winning this game, don't get me wrong, but I just don't think it'll be a cakewalk for them, The Chargers, they won a close one against the Raiders, and the Raiders are a good team, all right? They're just off to a slow start, and they had a devastating loss to the Cardinals this past Sunday. But the Chargers, I don't know. I mean, I've hyped them up all offseason to be this really good team in the AFC, and I don't know if it's a slow start. I don't know if they're overrated. I don't know what it is. But LA, they've looked kind of meh so far, But I think they'll get this win over the Chargers. Or I think the Chargers will get this win over the Jags. So give me LA to knock off Jacksonville here in a much closer one, actually. Next up, LA Rams and the Arizona Cardinals. This one is down in the desert. As the Rams are 1-1, they had a 28-3 lead on, guess who? The Atlanta Falcons. And the Falcons almost pulled an Uno reverse card. They were down 28-3 and nearly came back and won. So, man, that would have been wild. Could you imagine the headlines if Atlanta won that game when they were down 28-3? Wow. But regardless, the Rams get the win. They're 1-1. Arizona is 1-1 as well. They actually came back and won as they were down 20-0 to the Raiders, and they win in overtime against them on a fumble return for a touchdown. So, Kyler Murray, he had that incredible touchdown drive to close out regulation and the 2-point conversion. So, yeah, Kyler Murray, he played really well down the final phases. However, I will say this about this matchup. Sean McVay always has the Cardinals' number. This is the first meeting between these two since the playoff game with one another, in the wild card. LA blew them out of the water, and Kyler Murray still had that ridiculous interception. So, yeah, I mean, the thing with me is that the Rams, I think that they're I think that they're looking a little tipsy from the Super Bowl. I'm not going to call it a Super Bowl hangover for them yet, but they look a little tipsy. All right. I do have to say, however, it looked like their offense was back in check. I mean, you had the offense gelling right there. It was the defense that let up. I think LA is going to be fine offensively. And Arizona, their pass defense has just been bullied so far. I mean, their defense has just been manhandled so far. And with the firepower LA has on offense, I just don't see how the Cardinals are going to be able to contain that LA offense. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take the Rams. And Sean McVay continues to haunt the Cardinals in their sleep. Go ahead and give me the Rams to knock off the Cardinals. All right, we got another boring one coming up. We got the Falcons and the Seahawks up in Seattle. The Falcons coming off, as I just mentioned, a near comeback win over the Rams. They're 0-2 on the year. And the Seahawks coming off getting beaten up by the 49ers in San Francisco without Elijah Mitchell and George Kittle. So, who really cares about this one? However, I will say Atlanta looks like they have some sort of an offense. You got to get that guy Cordell Patterson involved a little bit more. It looks like Marcus Mariota is a little bit better than I gave him credit for. But still, Atlanta, they're just not a good team. The Seahawks, their win against Denver, that was a product of Nathaniel Hackett just being a complete doofus. You know, who the hell tries to kick a 64-yard field goal with 20 seconds left on 4th and 5 when you still have all 3 timeouts and you burned off a minute of the clock? That's just terrible clock management by Hackett. So, yeah, Seattle, that wasn't a product of them upsetting the Broncos. That was just a product of Denver just being incompetent, you know? And then it showed against San Francisco. Seahawks couldn't do anything against the 49ers. So, yeah, I really don't know about this game. Again, normally situations like this, I go home team. But I'm going to go with the team that has at least a little bit of a direction where they're going, and that's the Atlanta Falcons right now. I'm going to go ahead and take Atlanta to go up to Seattle, get the job done over the Seahawks. Give me the Falcons to beat the Seahawks. Alrighty, next up, Green Bay Packers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This one is down in Tampa as the Packers coming off a win over the Chicago Bears, as the Packers were in a little bit of a deficit early on. Then it looked like they would run away with that game, but then they stalled a little bit, but still held on for the dub. Then you got the Tampa Bay Bucs. I'm just going to say it. Am I the only one that is not interested or not impressed with Tampa so far? I mean, sure, the defense looks really good for them, but that was expected. Everyone knew Tampa was going to have a top 5 defense this year. But Tom Brady's starting to show his age a little bit. Could this be the year? Could this be the year Tom Brady shows his age? Because he turned 45 a month and a half ago, right? And he has a quarterback rating of under 80. For Tom Brady standards, that's horrible. You know? So is Tom Brady starting to show his age a little bit? Mike Evans isn't going to be playing this game because he had a beef with Marshawn Lattimore. So, yeah, I mean, Brady, he's not going to have his favorite. He's not going to have his best target in Mike Evans. I mean, he does like to throw the ball to Chris Godwin a lot, and, you know, now he has Julio Jones. But still, I don't know about Tampa Bay's offense for this game, man. I don't know if they're, well, not for this game. I don't know about Tampa Bay's offense for the whole season. If, you know, I think it has to come down to how well Tom Brady can play at age 45. Green Bay, I'm not impressed with them either. The Packers, I think that they're very overrated. I am not impressed with the Packers at all. You know, a lot of people are saying that, oh, this is game of the week. Oh, it's Rodgers versus Brady. This is game of the week. I disagree heavily. I don't think this game's going to be close at all. Why? Brady always plays well against Rodgers. Brady, you know, this is kind of like a just what the doctor ordered kind of, you know, game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think this is going to give them a shot of adrenaline. I think the defense is going to play well. They're going to take advantage of Rodgers not having Devontae Adams. And, yeah, this is actually my lock of the week. I know a lot of people are saying that, you know, game of the week. I disagree heavily. Rodgers usually struggles down in Florida as well. So I'm actually going to give it to Tampa, and I don't think this game's going to be close at all. I got the Bucs winning big here, actually. Give me Tampa to knock off Green Bay. Then we got Sunday Night Football. Check your local listings, as we got a rematch of Super Bowl 24. Hopefully it won't be 55-10, but we got the San Francisco 49ers heading on to Denver to play the Broncos. 49ers coming off a dominant win over Russell Wilson's old team in the Seattle Seahawks, 27-7. Their run game looked good. Deebo Samuel, innovative as ever. And the defense still looks really good for the 49ers. However, big news for San Francisco, and not in the good way. Trey Lance is out for the year. And, you know, you don't like to see that with a young guy like him. I think it's a leg injury, if I'm not mistaken. That's what I heard. But regardless, Trey Lance is done for the year. That really sucks. But it's not like it's a total loss for San Francisco because Jimmy G's their quarterback now. There was heavy speculation that they were going to move on from him in the offseason. I bet they're happy they didn't now because at least Jimmy G can win them games. He has shown in the past that he can win the 49ers games. So he's a serviceable backup. I think Jimmy G is a really good backup quarterback, and he's let me put it to you like this, like Jimmy G, okay? He's never going to be a great quarterback, but he's never going to be a terrible quarterback. He's a type of quarterback that's serviceable, and he's a type of quarterback like, Mitch Trubisky. He's never going to be great, but he's never going to be terrible. He's always going to be very average and very gray area, but he's going to keep you competitive. All right? So that's the thing with Jimmy G. He can win the 49ers games. Okay? It just sucks that he has to do it now because Trey Lance got injured. That sucks. But still, San Francisco, they're still a good team. I like the defense that they got there, and I like how they got creative with the run game. Denver, I'm just going to say it. Denver's overrated this year. There's a reason that I said Denver was going to finish last in the AFC West this year. And Russell Wilson hasn't looked good so far. Nathaniel Hackett is a complete idiot. Why John Elway thought that was going to be a good hire for them, I don't know. It's just, this guy overthinks everything, and he's cost Denver a game already. And I just don't think he comes in prepared for this one. I think that even though Russell Wilson does own the 49ers, okay, there's no denying that. He always plays well against San Francisco. This time it just feels different because he doesn't have Pete Carroll as his head coach. Denver just looks very off. Again, it could be a slow start. It could be that Russ just needs to acclimate himself, but you can't acclimate yourself to a complete buffoon of a head coach. Plain and simple. So, yeah, I wanted to pick Denver, but I'm going to go with the 49ers for this one. I just think the 49ers are better than the Broncos right now. I think the defense is going to come up and they're going to go like, you know what? We want to beat Russell Wilson for once. And Jimmy G's going to have that motivation now. He's going to try to keep his job in San Francisco for at least this year. I'm going to go with the 49ers to get the job done over the Broncos. And then rounding out week 3, we got Monday Night Football in New Jersey. It is the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. The Cowboys are 1-1. They beat the Bengals with Cooper Rush as their quarterback because Dak Prescott's going to miss some time. But they beat the Bengals with Cooper Rush. Defense looked great for Dallas. Micah Parsons is an absolute stud. He got a couple of sacks in. So Dallas, they are definitely still alive. It looks like Cooper Rush can be a viable backup for him and win them some games. So yeah, Dallas, they had a very impressive win over the Bengals. Then you got the New York Giants. The Giants are 2-0. They are leading the NFC East right now, and they're 2-0. They got the job done over Carolina. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying, oh yeah, this Giants team is great. Oh yeah, this Giants team is this. No, they're off to a great start. Don't confuse that. They're off to a great start. Okay? I will say this, though. Saquon Barkley, he has a chance to be comeback player of the year. Because that guy is just clicking on all cylinders right now, and I think it has to do with their new head coach, Brian DeBall. I like what Brian DeBall is doing with the Giants right now. This guy is a take-no-prisoners kind of guy. He's a great football mind. He's a great football guy. He will get up in your face, and he will set you straight, and it looks like the players are playing tough for him, and they really respect him. That's why this team is 2-0. Daniel Jones is starting to play a little bit better. Not that I think that he is the answer for the Giants, but still, like, this Giants team, they're off to a really good start, but still, this is a big test for them, playing a division rival, playing in prime time, a team that has bested them, for the past 5 years now. They've only beaten the Cowboys once since 2016, and, yeah, man, like, this is a big test for the Giants, even though they're 2-0 and the Cowboys are 1-1. Even though the Cowboys are playing a backup, this is a big game for the Giants. However, I like what the Giants are doing on defense. I like that they're getting creative on offense. I like their play calling. And I just like Brian DeBall's mindset. And on top of that, even though this is more of a narrative with Dak Prescott, I just don't trust Mike McCarthy against teams that are above 500. He does not have a good track record of playing teams that are above 500. And even though, like I said, the Giants, they're not a great team, it's still a work in progress for them. The Giants are headed in the right direction, it looks like. That's why I'm actually going to go with the New York Giants to win this one. I got the Giants going to 3-0. Who would have thought at the beginning of the year that the New York Giants would be 3-0? Not I. I can tell you that right now. But yeah, man, this could go either way. I totally understand anyone that picks Dallas or the Giants, but I'm going to go with the Giants just because I really like what Brian DeBall's doing with this team right now. I really like that Brian DeBall is making this team into a tough team to compete against. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take the New York Giants to get to 3-0 and knock off the Dallas Cowboys. That'll do it. Those are my Week 3 picks and my Week 2 winners and losers for the 2022 NFL season. 55 minutes in. If you guys stayed for the whole thing, hey, credit to you guys. You're troopers. If you turn it off at any point, I don't blame you because I like to talk. But yeah, I'm going to log on off out of here and let me know what you think down below. Still Sermon, checking on out for the night. May God be with you all.